Are you looking for more joy in your life? Around the world, sunflowers symbolize happiness, good luck, and peace. There's something almost magical about these gorgeous sunny flowers, whose tiny seeds morph into gigantic plants. Cultivating Happiness is up next on Still Time for Joy, where we share practical advice for weathering life's storms and inspiring stories of resilience. Hello, I'm Sandra Levine, host of Still Time for Joy. A visit to a sunflower farm a few years ago is part of what inspired me to create this show. Seeing the sunflowers was such a joyful experience, I wanted to encourage people going through tough times to get out in nature for a powerful boost to good feelings. If you want to learn how to grow sunflowers in your own yard like I do, this next story is for you. The payoff is huge, but be forewarned. If you have birds, chipmunks, squirrels, rabbits, or other wildlife in your yard, raising sunflowers is likely to be an equal mix of fun and frustration. I took some seeds from this variety packet and put them on a damp paper towel in a plastic bag for a couple of days to speed germination. Typically, sunflower growing gurus recommend sowing seeds outside directly in the soil, but that just doesn't work here in suburban New Jersey. Most of them will be eaten by birds, chipmunks, squirrels, or rabbits. And the seedlings that do grow will quickly have their tiny stems sawed off by cutworms and other garden pests. So I start my seeds inside these little biodegradable cups or small pots to give them a leg up, then carefully transplant the seedlings outside, cutting off the bottom of the plastic pots so the taproot won't be damaged. Then the daily battles begin. We have just one feeder in our yard, but it's enough to attract not only tons of birds, but lots of other sunflower-loving creatures. Since I don't want a giant fence with mesh netting in my front yard, I use these plastic domes to shield the young plants. As the plants quickly grow, I create cages out of 1-inch chicken wire, then attach the dome so chipmunks don't climb over the top. This is a very time-consuming, crazy amount of work, so it's really only practical for a very small crop. Even with some elaborate setups, some seedlings are destroyed, especially after they grow tall, so the domes have to come off. The tops of the plants often suddenly disappear. So I built cages twice as high, this time 2 feet tall. Next year, I'll start with these taller ones. Now, when the plants reach the top and the domes are taken off, these sunflowers are a bit hardier, and they grow more or less in peace. Though some have nearly all their leaves shorn off, remarkably, they still manage to keep growing. The sunflowers that did the very best were planted in 2 large pots. 12 grew in all, and extensive, unattractive caging mostly kept the critters out. Despite my best efforts, sadly, many plants throughout the garden got knocked over by squirrels. Those whose stems were bent but not totally broken, I repaired with splints made out of Q-tips and Band-Aids or gaffer's tape. There's also special gardening tape you can use. To my amazement, this worked, and all these resilient, damaged sunflowers grew and eventually produced lovely blooms. Some smaller casualties were brought inside to see whether their tiny buds would open over time, and they did. As long as possible, I like to keep the plants growing outside to watch the ray florets slowly open gradually over a few days, revealing their gorgeous colors: sunshine yellow, burnt orange, warm cinnamon, even brilliant red. The bees love the pollen in these exquisite flowers too. In the end, I must cut the sunflowers or lose them all to the squirrels, who sense when the seeds are developing and attack indiscriminately. This magnificent large bloom had a chunk bitten off long before the seeds were mature. Then still more beauties were knocked down, and I knew it was time to act. I quickly cut all the stems with blooms open so I could enjoy some cheery sunflower sunshine inside. By starting some plants a couple of weeks after the initial batch, I'm able to have gorgeous sunflowers inside for weeks. I selected a few of my favorites, numbering and photographing them for identification next year, and then harvested the seeds. I threw some wilted heads outside, a distraction and sort of peace offering for the animals. This squirrel seems suspicious, like he can't believe his good luck, wondering if this is a booby trap, before giving in to temptation and scurrying off to eat his prize. Sunflower gardening is a great hobby to boost happiness, nurturing something spectacular from tiny seed to glorious showpiece. You'll be amazed by the sunflower's resilience, standing straight and tall despite tough times, continuing to grow and thrive and open up to life. If you don't have the space at home or the patience to grow these stunning flowers, take a trip to a sunflower farm. It's a guaranteed pick-me-up, an over-the-top dose of magic, an exuberant reminder to get out in nature for a beautiful path to more joy. I'm Sandra Levine. If you found today's show helpful, please share the information with someone who needs it, and follow Still Time for Joy for more practical tips on weathering life's storms, as well as inspiring stories of people who have turned their pain into purpose. Please consider supporting the work that goes into producing the show on Patreon. Follow Sandra Levine Productions on Facebook and YouTube, and learn more at sandralevine.com.